All right. Well, it's nice to have an artificial intelligence behind me that seems way smarter than I certainly am. But thank you all for joining for another session of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. So this will be some startup demos in the AI space. So we're excited to have you. We'll have three teams that will be presenting their solutions. They'll have about 20 minutes to present, and then hopefully have some time for Q&A for each of them as they go through it. But wanting to just set a little context, we are celebrating Global Entrepreneurship Week, where we're joining over 200 countries around the globe that are celebrating the role entrepreneurship plays in our community, and really trying to foster that connectivity to support our founders in succeeding. And so I'm excited to have a few of our founders share what they're working on, and hopefully maybe get some ideas, or at least give us some knowledge on the role artificial intelligence is playing in solving their particular problems. So without further ado, I'll have Shyam from App Orchid come on up and share a bit. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, everyone. So App Orchid is primarily AI platform company. Actually, I'll move here so you can all see the screen, but I'll toggle between. So we're based off Folsom. We started the AI journey actually 2016. Our whole purpose is to democratize AI. So a lot of people have this myth of what is AI. It's like a black box. It goes and comes out. Does AI work for us? How can AI be transparent? And how can AI be applicable for me? Because AI is not something we want to tell what it can do versus what do you want AI to do. So we actually built a couple of products last couple of years, but in Jan of this year, with thanks to OpenAI and ChatGPT, it has done a lot of marketing. Before that, we are struggling to figure out how to explain the AI to customers, how to make sure this is not a myth, it's a reality, it's coming, it's a matter of time, and how can we ingest this volume of data so you can get insights, predictions, modeling out of it. So in Jan, when ChatGPT introduced this, and everyone jumped on to log in and try to ask questions, but the good part of ChatGPT, it has done a marketing job for us, so we don't have to spend any money on that. The part what ChatGPT is not doing is what we are doing. What is that ChatGPT is not doing is they go after the publicly available data sets to research at a certain point. What we do is we are like ChatGPT for enterprise AI. So what we do is we look at enterprise data and look at all the data and get insights out of the data, but we don't stop there. What we look at is we look at any unstructured data that is out there from your issues, from the comments, from the service records, what the customers are talking about it. And then we actually collate that. I'll come there for presentations. Thank you. And then we collate that with external data. So why external data is important? All these big companies, whether the Workdays of the world, Oracles of the world, SAPs of the world, they live within the ecosystem of enterprise data. But when you want to overlay the enterprise data with external components like the weather, census, or talk about the traffic, and then to help you make better decisions, that's what we do. So we actually create products where we can tell what is the propensity of someone joining a fitness center in Sacramento. That's not because they know the data about the current members. We also help to figure out what are the areas that are out there where there are other members joining other gyms. Where are the other gyms located? How popular is the traffic? What is the seasonality? Do they have a pickleball court? Do they have this court? So we actually are helping them to do decision intelligence. We are telling them what is the propensity of someone like Rick joining this. So in the market, you have three products. You have the Palantirs of the world and C3S of the world, where they give you the data in a structured way. That means someone has to do all the job of plumbing to put everything into certain data, certain format, in certain tables. Then there are companies, what they do, they wrangle all the data like the ThoughtSpots of the world, where they will say, now you can use an NLP question by show me what are all my service records that are aging for more than 30 days. So that's only pure analytical. There are companies which are like the Googles of the world and all of the world. They create these large language models where you can ingest the data and then you can come up with like me saying that, show me the Sacramento Kings record for last 5 years. But it goes against millions of data and gets that in. But all of them are silos. They have a duty to perform, they're good at it. But none of those things combine all of these in one product, which is what we do. And our product name is Easy Answers, literally Easy Answers. We came out with the name because it's easy to ask a question, easy to get an answer. The fundamental thing are three things, what Easy Answers does it. What it does is you can just ask a question in simple English. You don't need to tell what the data has to be looking like, how it has to be represented, and how much it should show. That is how we all are used to, where we have to tell someone what the data we want, what reports we want, how they should show. Here, you don't need to ask. You have to show me all the assets that are going to be failing in zip code 95630 Folsom. That is all you have to ask. I'll show a demo. That's one we resolve. Second we resolve is, in this market, we don't need to grab the data. We go to the data. So that's a very fundamental difference, because a lot of customers do not want the data to leave the premise. What does that mean for us, Shyam? How can you all do that? We create this concept known as knowledge graph. What is knowledge graph? Knowledge graph has been existing since 60s, how Google and all built their own proprietary algorithms, like how we all are related. How in LinkedIn, when I log in, I know someone, Rick knows, and Rick knows second, third connections. So we use the same thing, create a knowledge map. All we get from the customer data is to create the metadata or relationship of the data. That's it. We don't bring the data. That's one. Because of that, we are able to actually take away all the information security requirements and everything. So we can actually go to the data. And the third one is where we can get external data, unstructured data, and then combine the data to get a better outcomes. That's in simple. So we're telling the customer that in between, you don't need to have a BI. You don't need to have someone explaining you what your requirements are, because you might have one requirement today. You're not sure what may be different tomorrow. But that means if you want to do that in current economy, you need to spend time with a developer, an analyst, a data engineering person, and someone to show what the output should look like. And we are here to eliminate all that. So I will go and show the demo. Any questions you have on what we do? We are basically based out of Folsom, and the data scientist and engineering team sits in San Ramon, between Folsom and San Ramon, pretty much. And our company is pretty much engineering team, pretty PhDs in data science and some sales and marketing. That's all. So let me show a couple of slides. So I think you all have seen what I was talking about. So I went to the PowerPoint mode. Let me see if it shows up. Okay. Okay. So what I was talking earlier is about how we get the data from the left, from the customer. The data can be anywhere: public, cloud, on-prem, unstructured, SharePoint, or emails. We can get all the data from the left. The middle part is our IP. We call semantic decision network. This is all the bubbles represent the data source. And the note between the bubble tells the relationship between the data source. What is the relationship? If I can get a billing data and a customer data, now I understand how the bill is impacting a customer. Now, how the customer bill is impacting because maybe there's an asset, and how the asset is actually performing because it needs the maintenance, there's a weather impacting, all the external factors. Now, I'm able to get all of the data in one place. So now I can ask question from the left to right anywhere. Now I'm not worrying about one data source. Now I have a neural network of things. So I can ask question anywhere in single shot. I can say, show me all the bills where the customer had a complaint for last 30 days because the bill is greater than $5 compared to other people in the neighborhood is higher. Imagine if you want to ask that complex question. You have to go to multiple data sources, a data warehouse, a data lake, an ERP data, and you always know your customer database is somewhere else, another product. Your sales is another product. Your billing is another product. We're eliminating all of that. That's what we do. And then the output of it is you can ask a question in simple English. You can get a generative AI, what that means, and you can get insights which you haven't thought about it. Basically, I'm thinking about the bills and the meters, for example. I'm giving the example, but no one is looking at it, why the meter is always giving high readings. Maybe it's faulty meter. Maybe there's a warranty involved in it. Maybe the meters in Sacramento are performing better than Denver, Colorado. But I don't think anyone is looking at that to connect the dots. But we do that, that's insights. And last part, applications and actions. So we can send this outputs that can be actionable. That's pretty much what we do in a nutshell. And this was a slide that, let's see how long it takes to get to the, I wish we have an AI to think for me and go to the next slide. But it's stuck. Can I go to the, maybe I'll try to get out of the slide mode. It's frozen. Mine is moving here for me.
Oh, the screen is moving, but
No, this, yeah, my slides are moving on. Can I just unhook it?
It's a new one for me.
Oh, no problem. Good part is we have some time.
Yeah.
Let me see if this works. Or I can just go to the.
Maybe is it on a different screen or something?
No,
Never seen such a.
you know what? 1 second. Let me close every other PowerPoint. Apologies.
So maybe try to switch that slide because that looks like the one on.
Yeah. But I'm not able to close this.
yeah, it looks like you got a second screen.
Yeah. I'm trying to shut down, but it's froze. Okay.
There it is.
There you
Now, yeah. It's coming up.
Yeah, no, it's mirroring.
Okay. I will not go to the slideshow to make sure it doesn't happen again. But this is the chat GPT. The left side is, we actually tested with chat GPT, say that write a rap song about Sacramento Kings. He's done a great job. But if I want to ask the question about, show me all the bills which are higher in this area, it doesn't do it because it doesn't touch any of the data. It doesn't do calculations. It doesn't do predictions because of the liability and the lawsuits. It doesn't give you any outcomes or actions. All it does is take the text, provide you the context because it has large language model for billions of records as of 2021. But what we do on the right side is all you have to say, show all assets issues in Hayward. You didn't ask anything about how the data should be shown. We know when you want to show the issues, it's better to show on a graphical chart or a map or a geo or a graph. And we said, how do you want to show issue? Issues are shown better in a Sankey chart versus a pie chart. And how do we show the issues by more of modeling to show or put in the blocks so it's easily visualized? So we actually have 250 visualizations where based on the traits of the data, the characteristics of the data, it tells you how to show. That is where the AI is training. It's learning. And we have a Netflix kind of a model where if you do not like the data or the output you're seeing, you can do thumbs up and thumbs down. So it's learning from your persona. So next time when you come in, it knows what to show. It's like my Netflix. I don't choose anymore in Netflix. It tells me because you watch this. Now here are the hours. I still take an hour to watch, figure out what to watch still. It's just too much content. But that's where the AI is continuously getting trained. That's the chat GPT. So let me go to a demo now. So this is a product. So we created this product simple like Google. What Google did, all it does is gives a blank screen. You can ask a simple question. So this is a product. So I can type. I type a couple of things. Now I'll type something and show all meters. This is NLP. You can use Siri-like interface. I never tried because half the time it cannot understand my accent. So it gives me different things. So I try to type instead of asking a question, but everything is voice enabled. You can ask, everything is just pretty much on the phone, voice enabled. You don't need to type it. It's supposed to be hands-free, code-free with simplicity. So now if you look at it, it showed that 25,000 meters. You never asked the material of the meter. It's telling you, because the data, the material actually can be brass, bronze, or steel. It's telling you meter by manufacturer, meter by age. It's telling you all of the things under the sun. So you can say, show all meter issues. Now you can compound the question. Now you can make the question as complex as you can. Now they're saying there are 86,000 issues there. And all of the issues are related. This is a typical term in the market Sankey chart. This is a better way to represent, am I right? The material, the issue, the type, all of that. So it showed you the correlation of the heat map, where they're coming. So the beauty of all of this is the ontology. I was explaining the neural network, what we built. If I show you the ontology, this is what's building. This is our IP. Every time it's learning from you and me, it's creating another bubble. Now I'm going to load another billing. I can go load environmental data. I can load the sales data. So now it's creating the neural network of all of the data. End of the day, it's becoming bigger and bigger, in the Minority Report movie. So end of the day, you can ask any questions. Now I'm not relying on multiple data sets, multiple ERP, or human in the loop. That's the AI. So now if I ask weather, it'll add weather here. If I ask storm, it'll add storm here. That's what we're doing. That's our IP. So that's one part. The second part is show me all meter issues. So I can say region, I can say zip code, I can say show all. And it can actually give you the similar questions about show all meter issues. Now I'll say show all premises in the path of storm Alex. Even though I did not put a space between, it's smart enough from linguistics point of view. Actually, it is showing all the data. So there was a recent storm last year in Florida. They want to evacuate all the people ahead of time. So they're looking for a solution. Instead of that, how can we preempt it? So we actually did a pilot for them where we're able to figure out. I'm able to show it because this is a publicly available data set. We go to NOAA. NOAA is the biggest website of the public data of all the weather. So we're able to go to this data. And now I can figure out which are the premises that might get impacted because of the storm path. I can continue to go and expand these. And I can figure out which are the ones that are impacted below. So I can actually do an emergency management systems to those peaks to evacuate, something like what happened in Maui. Obviously, Maui in such a short time frame. So imagine now, if your ERP system doesn't go look outside, it only looks inside. We're able to look outside. So now I'm able to get the weather data. I just need to make sure my touchscreen works. So now I added another additional component. Now you can ask a question about show me all the issues in San Ramon, show me in Texas, show me all the issues, billing issues which actually are greater than $100. You can ask questions because now you have the data. All you have to ask is simple English. Now I'm compounding it. So now let me try, open up another one. Let me see if I... We need to log in. Okay, so now again, I'm back to the simple question about show me all meter issues. So there's a light bulb movement. There's a reason we have a light bulb. So we covered how the data can be displayed. We covered how we can add external component of it. Now I'm going to cover insights, what AI is doing, because what our machine learning models are doing is it's creating insights. If you go to the light bulb, as a user or a super user, they can click on the light bulb and see what are all the ones that we are able to predict, figure out from all of the data we read. So it's telling me that effect of temperature on failure rate by year. Their temperature is affected to the meter. Then it's telling me effect of temperature failure rate by the zip code. This is what I was talking about. because of the weather conditions, the meters will work differently in California versus Denver or Colorado or Texas. And it's telling me meters with size 2 have more failure than others. That is where at the end of the day, we want to start with, we have this machine learning model we built in 3 phases. One is we want to tell the customer what do they have. Second, we want to tell them that based on this, what can you expect? And the third part of our machine learning is what do you want to do based on what you want to do, what I need to give you. So it's like current, the future, and then the futuristic. So we call that the decision intelligence. So I will show you another use case. We did that use case become a product now. This we built a model in 3 months, this machine learning model. This is for a fitness company where they want to figure out where do I spend my next $100 to get most of the new members. That's it. So we're able to get all of the data, the current data. They don't have any future data. They don't have the non-member data. All they have a member data. But what we said, here are all the gyms you have. Here are all the members of it. So if they say, show me all members. But look at the complex question they want to know. I want to make sure that, hey, I want to target certain type of audience, lookalike people. Show all male members who have some college degree. This is not available in their system. We are able to go to census to get the data. So we're able to go to census. Census is, again, open AI. The database is all open. So I was able to get the information and say, here's the gender, by top cities, by states, how do you want to take it? Same thing, show me all optimal. Actually, let me show you the ontology for this. This ontology is different. That's your ontology because we have all of the member data and all the external data. We know the age, their high level, medium income, their diversity, and we combine that with Google traffic about, hey, people would like to go to workout after work and they don't want to drive like another 30 minutes. They want 5 minutes. So if someone wants to have $100, they want to spend $100 optimally somewhere. We're answering that question using AI to come up with the modelings to say that, okay, here are all the Planet Fitnesses. Here are all the 24-hour fitnesses. But you already have these members all the way here. So what is the intersection of it? So we do the AI modeling about how many of them are intersected, how many of them are not intersected, how many of them are overcrowded, because you don't want to spend money on some area where you have 5 gyms and we have only 10,000 people. So we actually solve the marketing problem using AI. So these are some of so the whole purpose for AI for us is not just giving the answer about, hey, show me where I should put my next Walmart. We are actually trying to do things with transparency, with all of the data in their house. We are not bringing the data. We're giving the transparency, no hallucination. And we actually created our own platform. So we do not rely on Google's platform or NVIDIA or any. We created our own AI platform. So we don't outsource anything. So it's not a black box. Since I got more time, I took more time on AI. So this is what we are doing. And since Feb, actually we have numerous calls, but none of the customers will say, hey, I don't want this. Everyone wants to now say, how do I try this? Because that's where the economy is going with the product. The good part for us is we are not just creating an NLP. We're just not giving us user interface to say, ask a question in English. We're actually giving outcomes. That's what people want to know. People, okay, you can tell me what I know, but tell me what can you do? Tell me what actions you can perform to help my return on investment. Help me identify where the bottlenecks of my supplier. Help me, tell me where all my members that might leave. Tell me where my issues are for customers. I got to preempt it. So this is where the machine learning and AI really helps. So with that, any questions I can answer, or else I'll pass it on to the next group.
So when you're looking at the data internally for a corporation, is it are you doing like a certain database, or are you like crawling like email and everything?
Yes, so most of the customers use Snowflake nowadays, which is the biggest structured database we can connect. So we have this connectors we call pipelines of up to 250 already existing data sources. We call the data containers. So we go and collect from there. That's one part of it. And then to your point on emails and all, if people have a lot of contracts and get insights out of contracts, they have it in SharePoint or PDF. We use the Google OCR scan to get the scan. But scan is just one. First, we need to take unstructured and digitize it. Once you digitize it, we have to create that family of these bubbles you've seen it. Once you create the bubble, once you create the ontology, now your NLP can take over. That's typically our data mining process.
When you're looking at external search sources, are you like, crawling the entire internet, or are you specifically like, census data, weather data?
Yeah. So based on the customer request, at the end of the day, we don't start with, say, here is the product. We ask the customer what moves the needle for you. That's how AI works. AI doesn't work one way. AI has to work both ways. So when we ask them, then we figure out which external data we want to get out of. We actually do a paid external data. We will actually do unpaid also. Unpaid is like the census and the NOVA and the traffic, Google traffic. Paid ones, we like, for example, show me all members. We actually have a very complex question. Someone asked, tell me all the females who likes to play tennis, but actually owns Gucci's. That's literally what they want to know. They want to target high-end customers. So we actually subscribe to Experian, which even I didn't realize Experian actually has everything about us. All you have to do is to subscribe to them. Experian actually has from a credit, that's what they do, right? So Experian is the biggest. So when you subscribe, you have a paid subscription, we can get those insights. And that is what the customer wanted, right? They want to have a targeted audience. Whom should I target for pickleball? Because that is a new thing. Whom should I target to sell this product? So you have to look at pickleball means there's certain age, certain groups you want to have a pickleball. Or pickleball, sometimes some of the sports actually have pickleball. But end of the day, where I'm going with this is we actually get from Experian, we get from McKinsey for health data, and we get from other places like Google and BigQuery, because all of this actually hosts the public data, but they curate the data. So that's the good part of it.
So with Experian, you're actually able to get quite a bit of individual information then?
Yeah, end of the day, they collect all our information. End of the day, obviously you have to mask and everything, but we're going the trends. We're not here to show the individual names, we're giving the trend analysis because they're anonymized. But I'm saying focus on this group, right? Our job is not, we are not here to own the data. We're just a custodian. But Experian is really a big one. McKesson is for the data. And then we work with this company, Reef, for all the US parking data. A lot of companies wants to know how your parking spots are, because nowadays with all the games and all, parking is, I didn't realize for myself, parking is such a big business. Because especially the hospitals and all, if you don't get the parking at the right time to take the patient, that's a huge problem. I'm new here, but it took me 23 minutes to figure out how to come here and I have to ask multiple people. It is. And I didn't know where the station is to put this thing. So, I'll do cancel this time. Yeah, please.
Can AI predict when the Millennium Tower in San Francisco is going to come down?
So it's all based on the data and the weather and what happened surrounding. So the decision network, we actually give the data for you to make a decision, but we will say, hey, the probability of this. We had the same question someone asked, show me the soiling loss of all the solar panels in Bakersfield. Again, this is all my learning. I didn't realize that solar panel, to wash the solar panel, it takes $100,000. $100,000 to wash a solar panel because they're huge and they're remote. Think about it, man. You don't get solar panels huge this side in middle of a downtown. So they're asking, how frequently should I wash? And second, where should I put this huge solar panel? So here's what we said. We will predict, there's a word known as an AI cracking. If you Google cracking, it gives you 3D dimensions of interpolating, saying that if you have a data 100 miles from there, but I'm going to assume based on that, I'm going to come up with a mirror image of how this should perform. So we actually took up precipitation data, particular matter data, and we have a soiling data of all of those in US. And we did an average mean to figure out, hey, if Bakersfield, you want to do this, now you have to clean 3 times a year because of vegetation, because of the wind direction, because of the weather, because of the precipitation and the rain and fire. Because the rain, obviously the dust goes away from the solar panels, so that way you don't have to wash. But imagine, because you don't want to lose the output on the solar panels because of the amount of debris on it. So I'm relating your question of this, it's exactly the same way, because we're able to look at all of the data around it, and we're able to come up with this based on all of these 1,000 points, all right? Then here, if you have this, come up with a lookalike here. That's how we do it. And it is done, but you don't make a decision saying that now, hey, now move everyone out, but you're saying, what is the probability of happening? And again, as you've seen, we show it's a transparency. We show how we are able to come to the data. That is what customers are looking for, the transparency on it, not a black box, not an hallucination. Good question. Yes.
I'm just more curious on like crunching this amount of data, like just the cost of it.
Yes.
Like how are you guys, as I mean, I know you've been around since 2015, but are customers willing to pick up this level of cost to ingest this much data and actually clean it up?
Yeah, the big customers are ready to, because for them, the dollar is not an issue, because for customers like large customers they have like 16 billion records. I mean, that we need to use NVIDIA GPUs, because that's why NVIDIA stock price is so high, because everyone uses NVIDIA. But other customers, the infrastructure cost has come down a lot nowadays. So even if I ingest like 15 to 20 million records, it's not going to cost us much. So our cost is around 5,000 per month on this AWS cost for a customer. So it's not a monumental like 50 or 100. But if you want this large data modelings to be done, performed, every data model we create, when we try to run against the data, it literally takes 16 to 20 hours. Because these models, you have to write so much code. And when you run this, it just takes, because to her point, it has to crunch the data. And it has to have this multiple permutation and combinations. But you don't hit it in first time, right? You see the output, you figure out what are the parameters you need to adjust, you run it again. You run it again. Imagine if you want to run this like 4 or 5 times, you are done for 2-3 weeks. But this is where the NVIDIA GPUs, am I right? They're coming up with GPUs. Now I can, if I have money, I can do that in 20 minutes because of the processing power, the hardware they provide, obviously. So we need to pass that cost to the customer, because it's not like we have that money. But generally, for an average, AWS is not bad. Obviously, we support AWS, we support Azure, we support GCP, because customers have their own choice. We can't say that, hey, use only AWS, but we're certified on all 3. Sorry, I took more.
Oh, no worries. I'm easy. So first off, I want to basically give a hand to Cameron and Arlene for Global Entrepreneurship Week. How many events are we doing this week?
Too many.
30 events. And Cameron's getting married like next week or something?
Next Saturday.
You don't have enough stress. So today, for those of you who know me, I actually now describe myself as a serial entrepreneur, and I'm involved in actually several startups. And I'm actually going to introduce another startup that I'm involved with. It is called Marketing Hero. And the origin of this is I went to a high school reunion last year and refreshed some relationships with an old high school friend, and we kept in touch over the months. And what he does is he does real estate, digital marketing for real estate agents, and he works for like a big title company. And so when ChatGPT came out, we were like, big fanboys. We would actually talk and meet and discuss how it could be used. And he actually had been teaching his real estate agents how to use ChatGPT to create listings, et cetera. And then he actually had an idea for a product, and he works at a corporation, so he actually got in front of their CTO and pitched the idea. And if you can imagine, they're like, that's interesting, maybe next year. So he talked to me about it, and I was like, I can build it. It's actually a fairly simple concept. And so what it is, it's the way I like to describe it is like ChatGPT. It's like training wheels for real estate agents to use ChatGPT. So it does all the prompts are already predetermined. There's a few extra features in there, but essentially, if you're a real estate agent, you essentially have to market your own listings. And what it is, it's a tool where you don't have to have an outside marketer. You can actually use the backend is ChatGPT to generate the listings, the social medias, et cetera. So let me go ahead and just do a quick demo. So one of the things that he had talked about, the challenges is there are actually a lot of real estate agents that are using ChatGPT, and the listings sound the same. You can almost look at it and you could tell that the listing was done by ChatGPT. So one of the things we've done is that we've actually created different personas. So I'm going to create a new persona here. And it goes through what it does is you have to take a quiz. And I'm not going to take it. You have to take a quiz. And it just basically, you answer the quiz. And if you aren't familiar with marketing, there's actually like 12 brand archetypes. So there's like the hero, which is like Nike, Sage, which is like Apple. There's the guy next door. So there's these different archetypes, and each archetype also has a different voice and a different writing style that's associated with each archetype. So you go through the quiz, and it determines what your archetype is. So when you actually do a listing or a social media post, it'll do it in that voice, in that style. So when creating a property listing, so some of the things that's actually my house there. We've done a couple things here. And we've actually integrated, so I'm going to just upload a quick picture here. And there's integration to Google Maps. So you can see how it's auto-populating. Top here. And there's my house. And then it goes to public records. So there's an integration to public records, and it actually pulls off the attributes of the house to public records. And it saves that you can save this listing as a known quantity. So whenever you go back to, I want to create a social media post, I want to do a video script, it'll refer back to that listing, the attributes to that listing. So down here are the main features. So you can do the property listing. So I'm going to go ahead and just edit this one here. And so this is generated by ChatGPT. Let's go edit. And you can actually have multiple personalities or personas. When I take the actual quiz, it says I'm a sage, whatever that is. And actually, I feel like I'm more like a wisecracking guy. And when I did that, the prompts, it was just kind of inappropriate. So so there was the other one I have, which called Playful Sage. That was the original time when I did, and I was like, that's kind of weird. So I just made it more sage. And each sage has, there's several voices that are associated with that brand archetype. So you could actually pick the voice and the writing style. And then you can put in a word limit. I can't even read that. It's too much. And it just generates, this actually, the APIs take a little bit of time, but it'll generate a listing and then the agent can then copy and paste it. So some of the other features that it has is you could also take from that listing, you could also generate a social media post. Facebook and Instagram is what we support now. And there's a scheduling mechanism where you can actually schedule, you can actually generate a bunch of social media posts for a particular listing and then have it scheduled out. So that's almost like a separate product in itself that's out there. The other features we have is we could do video scripts, we could do print ad, emails, and then letters, like physical letters and postcards. So right now that's what we support. And actually, as you start doing product development, you could sit there and like, oh, how we should add this, we should add this. So we actually kind of had to shut it down and say, all right, this is what we're going out with our first release. And then we'll start doing it incrementally. So admittedly, I don't really know much too about real estate, except the fact that I bought my own house. And my co-founder, Larry, he has been promoting Marketing Hero to his real estate agent. Because honestly, I'm just thinking like, when we have like the startup challenge and you're supposed to find out if you have a good product market fit. I just went with my gut here because I have no idea if there's a good product market fit or not, because I don't know the industry. But fortunately, what's happened is he's been showing his the agents. He's actually really well known in Southwest Washington as being a really good digital marketer for real estate agents, and he's actually made a few of them really. He's actually made them really good money. He's been able to effectively market their properties. And so he's been showing it and just showing screenshots. So, we went from, basically wire process flow to wireframe to design. And he's been showing the screenshots of designs. And we already actually have a list of people that want to invest. So, arbitrarily, I'm like, oh, okay, let's just do 10% at $100,000. That'll give us $1 million valuation. It'll probably give us a couple years of runway. And we've actually have a couple, I guess real estate agents have a lot of money. There's a couple of them that actually want to like invest the entire $100,000. So that makes me feel good. And actually, when I talk to startups, I always say the best people the best investors in that startup are potential investors. I mean, the best investors are potential customers because they understand the value of it. So that actually makes me feel good. So, and not only that, but we've actually already got over 100 people that have signed up for the beta. And so right now the project is out, and this is taking a while. The product is out, and we have actually, we're going through. We've actually identified a lot of bugs, and right now what we're waiting for is we have a scheduling mechanism where you can schedule with Facebook and your Instagram post. And we've been waiting for Meta to actually approve our account so we could actually use it. And we just found that they disapproved it. So now we have to apply again. But that's what we're waiting for right now. But in the interim, we've actually been, finding a lot of bugs. And I guess, this is 1 million Cubs. The potential that I asked you, if you have any real estate agents or know of any real estate agents that would like to try it out, let me know. And I'm actually happy to give them access. So with that, I can answer any questions. All right, I got off easy. Oh, okay.
All right, so for potential real estate agents, what would they have access to exactly? What do they have to give you, and for how long would they be able to use the tool?
So basically, I would just send them a link. And right now, what we're doing, so we have an integration to Stripe, and it's in the beta mode. So there's a fake credit card that you have to enter in, and then you'll have access to the agents will have access to it. And then at some point, we're going to switch over. And once we switch over, then we could actually use Stripe has a promo code function that we'll be able to switch over to. But right now, it's just it's pretty much indefinite because we have this like fake credit card that you can put in. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
To the real estate agent.
Yeah.
All righty. All right, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining, and thank you to Cameron and the team for putting on this great event and Global Entrepreneurship Week. My name is Shweta Gandhi. I work on a company called Strived. We've been around for about 8 months now, but I've been working in the education space for my whole entire career. So I've been working in the intersection of education, technology, and data, both here in the US and abroad. Just for show of hands so I can understand the audience, do we have any teachers, any educators in the room? Okay, couple. Great. Oh, great. That's fantastic. So for those of you that are familiar with the world of education and data, it's a very interesting industry in that there is a ton of data on our kiddos and their learning and how they learn well and not. However, it sits in many, many disparate systems and often is very unstructured. And so what ends up happening in schools today here in the US especially is there's a data overload, but we are generally information poor. So we say data rich, info poor, often in schools because the data is sitting in so many different places. And so generally what ends up happening is here in schools, our district folks look at data for compliance purposes. And then our school leaders generally look at data for, again, reporting purposes. And then teachers are basically looking at some basic level of information using a lot of anecdotal insights on how to support their kiddos. This is probably a map that is familiar to the educators that are here, but for those of you that are not educators, this is a graph essentially of, I'm assuming most of you have probably heard of the Common Core State Standards. This is something that was rolled out years ago. And this is essentially a graph for teachers, this is a 6th grade one particularly, to understand what every kid in 6th grade needs to master. So these are all the standards, and these are skills that are aligned to those standards. And of course, the nodes that are connected are essentially representing prerequisites and so on and so forth of each of those standards. Now you can imagine as a 6th grade teacher for me to come in and say, okay, here's everything that I have to make sure I teach my kids every day. And I have 25 kids and I need to make sure that I understand where kids fall in this spectrum, not only at the beginning of the year, but every single day I'm going about teaching them new lessons and new skills, how they're continuing to fare and master along these different nodes here. The beauty is that there's a ton of data today that teachers can have access to that can start painting a picture of how kids are doing. The way that I explain it, I have 2 little ones, a 5- and 7-year-old, is as we get access to more data for each child, we can start coloring this picture in. One data set, say like an assessment data set, might do a light coloring of it. As we add more information, say their daily assignments or quizzes or something that we call exit tickets, we start getting a darker and darker picture on how kids are doing across the spectrum to master these various standards in 6th grade and beyond. We work K through 8 actually. So what we've done is we have essentially taken a number of different data sets here. Actually, that's probably better. And we are early. This is what I'm showing you here is a design screen. We work with 3 districts right now. We have access to all of their data, but it's not anonymized, so I don't want to share that data with you guys. So this is a design screen here, and essentially what we've done is we've taken access to different data fields. So for example, they have state assessments that we had access to at the beginning of the year. They have formative assessments that they take each quarter. And then we have things like ed tech tools that they've been working on that give us more information. Daily attendance records, we have behavior records, we have social emotional sort of like quantitative or qualitative records that we all build into our back end. And then we run our back end data analysis on it, and we start spitting out these recommendations. Some of the stuff that Shyam was talking about, they're much, much more advanced in that they are ingesting a ton of data. And that's my question around cost, is they're ingesting a ton of data and starting to allow teachers to actually, or allow folks to query with that. In our case, we recognize that It's early in the whole ChatGPT natural language prompting world. A lot of teachers don't even know what questions to begin answering. So what we do is we essentially give them an option to choose data that we already have access to, add a data file, and then start spitting out recommendations based on the type of user they are. So if they're a district level person, we recognize that a lot more of their needs are trends, things that, hey, my kid's in the lowest quintile of math. What are the different races that they come from? What's the breakup? If they're a school leader, they're much more interested in a little bit more detail around granularity of what specifically kids are struggling with. And then, of course, if they're a teacher, they want to know even a far greater level of detail. And sometimes, actually, at the point that we're at, the information that we're largely able to pull is more relevant to our school leaders and our district level folks. We're not quite yet at the point where in the classroom we have a granular level of data where we can shift instructional practices quite yet. We're getting close to capturing that data. But some of the things we start recommending is, assessment data showing that kids that fall in the lowest quintile struggling the most on X. Here are some things that you could potentially do. And we're moving towards this more actionable insights where we're not just saying, okay, here's the data and here's a graph, but actually based on this graph, here's what we recommend you do in terms of shifting practices in the classroom every single day. And the hope is for us is that we can actually, to the point made earlier, not only share and analyze data, but actually make recommendations and push into classrooms on a day-to-day basis where we can actually say, this is how you might shift your tier 1 instruction, and this is how you might shift your small group instruction. There's a lot of potential here around thinking about how we personalize learning. What we don't want to do, though, is silo kids. We know through experience that kids learn best in whole group settings. When it's personalized. And so the hope for us is to then say, how do we make sure that we help support teachers in personalizing whole classroom instruction, while if they have the capacity to also push in to support them from a small group perspective. Does that make sense? I think, yeah, that is the core of our work. We do have one demo that doesn't have real data in it, but it is super slow. So I am not gonna boggle you, or I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. What we have done on the back end in terms of the technical piece is we use ChatGPT as our back end, and we've integrated a number of different data files. And we'd make sure on the back end that we can ask questions of those data files and it's not hallucinating. A lot of you might have heard of this whole concept around hallucinations. We want to make sure, especially when talking to educators and about kids' performance, that we're not just making up things. And so on the back end, from a tech perspective, we have gotten to a point where we can ask questions of the system. It can look at unstructured data that's coming from a variety of different sources, and we can make sense of that. And so I was actually just testing this earlier this week, where I put in a very, very unstructured file coming from one of our districts that we're working with here in Oakland. And they were like, can you just recreate this for us? And it was like, it boggled my mind at how quickly there was like alphanumeric numbers within a column. And it not only understood it, but it actually said, okay, I actually understand this BR means beginning reader, and I'm going to pull it out because that's not relevant to the context of what we're talking about today. And I'm going to give you all the kids, and I'm going to list them, and I'm going to suggest intervention strategies, so on and so forth. And so one of the things that we're testing out now is how do we also ingest core curriculum? So not only taking the data and saying, this is how all your kiddos are doing, this is what they've mastered, this is what they need to do next, but we're also saying, now, based on the lesson you're going to teach in 5 days, here's how you should shift your core curriculum lesson because your kiddos either are at prereqs or are not. And so it's been exciting. Getting education data is hard, but I have been working in this space for a long time. My last startup, I worked with over 24 vendors to create the data share agreements, ingest their data, understand their data, and make sense of it. And we are on our way to a number of strategic partnerships that are helping us access this data more readily within the education space. The vendors are not hundreds. There's probably 40 to 50 different like core vendors around assessment tools, ed tech tools, progress monitoring tools that we essentially are working with to then ingest their data, make sense of it. And that would probably, if we can do that, we can build those data share agreements within those vendors, we would probably get to over 75% of schools within America in terms of the actual data that would be helpful for teachers to use within their classroom. So I will end there. Any questions? All right, thank you all.
Give all of our presenters round of applause. All good. Well, I know my brain hurts after seeing all those different demos. It's way over my head, but love the different use cases of using AI to solve real world problems, from enterprise to real estate industry to then the education. So you can see the applicability and really tackling that. And so we do have some time, so I don't know if they're able to hang out and connect, but thank you again for spending the time and presenting and solving real world problems with AI instead of just helping me promote posts on LinkedIn. But with that, we did have a live stream, so feel free to reshare that for the community. And our next session will be at 2 o'clock, and then join us tonight for Startup Happy Hour, which will be at Flamingo House, where we'll have Ask Me Anything with Sabia Das from Videoverse. So we hope to see you there, and thank you all for being here. All right, cheers.
Literally hands down, I think she's like the reason. She was our real estate agent, and she essentially tells the shoppers. She was a system, and I'm like, she's a sharpest. She
It's more your position. Good to see you. Good, how are you? Yeah,
Oh, okay. You're really not joking.
No, I actually built this from scratch. I have an offshore team. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's over more than what you really good. Yeah. Well, well known, so a lot of
I'll be right here. Well, that was just our partnership, but the panel is we have a
Very cool. Wow.
really diverse. That's all right. Hey, it's more fun on it. And after that, we have.
Yeah, and the goal is that
Yeah, so we'll do like
if we can become like
you're the co-founder.
resource for data collection, like there's a lot
Less structured or just like answer questions. And then that's on Thursday. Right after that, and then.
They're our incumbent competitor. I don't know that they could be. I mean, they could easily create.
Town hall topics that identify challenges for people and start up their businesses and crowdsourcing.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
My name is Hassan. I'm a financial consultant. I work with startups.
Connecting to Snowflake, we would be connected.
I'm interested in AI myself. This is why I came here from. I came from Rose
just for this, just to hear what's going on. Have you seen OpenAI announcing building GPTs? Did you see how you can build
creation process.
That's the problem. It's like, right, it's like a big company, and so their focus is just like, absolutely, they've been around
I read
forever, so
in the
nobody's
report
like.
they've gone from 3 billion in sales to this year they're on track for 1.3 billion.
Yeah, I think that's all right.
So if they came out with something, not that,
So you're self-funded, growing, just scaling.
Yeah,
It sounds like you guys are scaling.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
There's so much.
Yeah, we only have
so few.
Yeah, there's like 5.
How should I pass this along?
I know. I highly recommend it. I lived in Roosevelt. There was an event.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think growth factor was exporting.
Okay. So we're trying to find.
They had a very good event, very sizable. I was surprised.
Sorry.
You were there?
No, it's all right.
Sounds good to see you. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was super insightful, and yeah, no, I was like, how can I use this in my my day to day for sure? It's like the whole thing is to build all of this stuff. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you know the first time.